All right, welcome back. More setup. Woohoo! So we had the overview video, we had the backend setup, we had the web client setup. Now, video number 4, we're going to start iOS things. But the only thing we're going to do in iOS this time is setup. Yes. All right, so to get started on this app, you have two options. Option one is if you followed along in the much earlier version of Movie Quotes, you should have saved off a copy called Movie Quotes No Core Data Yet. If you have that, open it up and make sure it works the same way as what I'm about to show you. If you don't have it handy or you're just afraid to start with yours because you did something weird, you can use this starting code. So this starting code is just a zip file. This zip file, you're just going to have to download it. Once it finishes downloaded, you can show it in the Finder. You can double click on it to expand it. And then from there, you should be able to just open it up, right? So I hit Command and down arrow to open it up in Xcode. And really what we want to do is we just want to run it and see that it still works. Yeah, sure, trust it. All right, so this version is the no core data yet version. I actually cheated and I renamed mine to be called Movie Quotes Firebase. It's a little tricky to do rename, so I recommend you don't bother. You can just leave yours as Movie Quotes Core Data if you want. I also removed like all of the core data stuff, like all of it. But you don't have to do that. The important thing is that it runs, and it's kind of a happy, pointless, local-only app, right? So you should be able to fire it up here, and it should say no movie quotes yet, and you should be able to add things. So test, so this is via variables only, right? So there's no core data in this one. It's sheer variables, right? So, oops, it says add quote there. It's supposed to say edit quote. Maybe I'll fix that before you get to it. Great. Works. Love it. I remember where it's at. And now I think I'm probably ready to close it. We'll see. I might regret that. Actually, I'm going to leave it open. So we've got the starting code. Now what we need to do is we need to start actually doing some of the CocoaPods install things. So I'm going to open back up Finder. And now you want to navigate not to your web app, but you want to actually navigate to your project. And you can get there however you want to get there. Just make sure that you are in the place where your Xcode project is located at. I guess what I really should have done is I should have done my age-old trick of just go ahead and typing the CD space and then actually just dragging it over from here. That's kind of the most surefire way to get into the right spot. Cool. So now I'm in the right spot. Now what I want to do is I want to do a pod in it. So it's kind of nice that a lot of these frameworks use really similar styles, right? And sure enough, pod init, all it does is it creates a pod file. So you want to open up this one in some text editor. This one decided to open up in TextEdit. Oh, this worked out nice. The last time I used TextEdit was the last video, and it actually has that file open over here, which kind of confused me at first, but it actually works out perfect because now I can just copy that and paste it right there, which is great. Oh, maybe that was from my test of this. But yeah, so it already had the code that I wanted to type, and the code that I wanted to type is pod single quote Firebase, and then pod single quote Firebase / database. So we want Firebase. We also want to use the database. Other things that we do want is this time we're using Swift. So we do want Swift. So make sure this is not commented out. So if it had a comment, delete it. The platform, if you know that you're only using 9 and higher, feel free to just say it. It'll just reduce the amount of backwards compatibility. Great. So 9 and higher, using Swift, want those 2 pods. Super duper. Once I've made my pod init file, what I need to do next is I need to actually run it via pod install. Pod install should dump a bunch of information out at you here. One of the most important things that it says is to make sure to close your project. So I did want to close my project. That was silly of me. Close that project and only open it from the workspace version. So if I kind of come back into here, I can see that now I've got this workspace version. So I want to open this one up. When it opens, hopefully it's very similar. The only difference is that now you've got a whole bunch of Firebase related pods, which is great. You can run it, and it should run no different, right? So nothing changed at all. I'm not even going to wait for it. And what we're ready to do now is some of the Firebase configuring. We'd rolled this into previous videos before, but I think we can handle it now. So go to Firebase, and so go to your home area. And what we want to do is we want to add Firebase to our iOS app this time. In order to add it to your iOS app, you need the bundle ID. So you get the bundle ID by clicking on the top icon here, and then going into the general area, and your bundle identifier is this top thing. So just go ahead and copy that, and then paste it right here, and say add app. What that'll do is that'll generate that G Services plist thing for you. You can save that anywhere you want. I don't care where you save it. For some reason, I like to save mine into my downloads folder, and then I move it over into the project. That's just my preferred style. That way I make sure that, like, so if I put it in downloads and then move it over, I know that it'll get added to my project in the right place, and I copy it over anyway. So make sure it goes into this folder. I think they put it down at the bottom. I'll put it down at the bottom this time. And so long as you've checked copy, it didn't matter where that first version was at, right? And it's in my downloads, and I know that I delete my downloads every so often. Great. And by the way, we're actually kind of following the steps in the right order this time, so you can hit continue. It says pod, init, pod, Firebase. All right, we've already done that. But then the next thing is it tells you to call this configure, right? Which is an iOS thing you need to do. Last time we used Objective-C, so we had to do things like this. This time we're in Swift, so we'll do these things the more Swift way. So it says to import Firebase. This is inside your app delegate class. And then inside of did finish launching with options, type this line. So for app.configure. And I'm using Xcode 7 here. I'm aware things will change slightly with like Swift 3 and Xcode 8, but hopefully if you're using a newer version than me, you can figure it out. So inside my app delegate, step 1, say import Firebase. If that works, that tells you a lot, right? So it means all your pod installation all just worked. Inside did finish launching with options, I'm going to type fir app, so that's Firebase, 3-letter acronym fir, so app.configure. And what that's going to do is that's going to look at my G services, and it's going to take the main thing, which is the database URL, which is what's important to us. And so if you run this, the only thing that will have changed now is that you'll have some logs saying that Firebase was configured, right? So the only thing I care about now are these logs, and sure enough, they say like Firebase Analytics was enabled, configuring the default app, things like that. So that's where we're going to cut this video off at. We have the same app that we have before. There's no visible changes yet. But we've done a lot, right? So we've installed pods to have the power of Firebase at our fingertips. We've configured our app. We are ready to start doing stuff next time. All right, see you next time where we start actually doing some iOS coding. See you then. Bye.